Goed, by 8.3, 8.3, it says take any circle and construct the center point. Describe the method. So the first thing is you need to draw yourself a circle. So you can do it two ways. You can either take a shape of a circle, put it down and just trace it. Or you can take your passer and draw a nice big circle. But I want you to ignore the mark that your passer makes in the middle. Because obviously, if you do take your passer, right, and you go around, automatically you do have the middle. So you can test yourself this way if you now do all the steps I'm going to show you. Then you can actually like look at that point and say, oh my word, it's the middle. Or if it doesn't actually fit over your passer's like indentation it makes on the paper, then you know you did something incorrectly. Okay, so first you're going to start off with your circle. You have your circle. Now I want you to take two colors. You take your first color, and we're just going to make a cutting line there, anywhere. Doesn't have to be a certain place. Okay, so I've got my cutting line there. Then what you do is you take your passer. You're going to open your passer up. You can decide how much you want to open it up to. But it has to come at least halfway over this line there. So you take your passer, you put the one point down there, and you make an arc. You put your other point down there, and you make your arc. Then you put your point down, and at the bottom, you make an arc. Put it there, and at the bottom, you make an arc, right? So when you have that, you will connect those two together, right? I'm going to see if I can connect it in a way that it doesn't. Oh, my latest is skev. I don't have a ruler on this, so I'm going to just make a line and see if I can. Okay, so that's more or less, just also take it further. That's about the nicest I'm going to get it without really using a passer. Okay, then you take another color. Maybe I should make this a blue or purple. Okay. Then you take another color. You're going to make a cutting line there as well. Cutting line made. So once again, you're going to take that passer and remember not to move the, well, no, actually, it doesn't matter. You just have to make a 90-degree line, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so put your passer down there and, for example, make your arc. Put it down there, make your arc. Put it down there, make your arc. Put it down there, make your arc. As soon as you've got your arc, okay, there we go. Now, do you see mine can't line up perfectly because this is just the system, but yours can line up perfectly. So once you've done that, you made a 90-degree line there. Do you see that? And then you made a 90-degree line there. Because remember what we did if we do a 90-degree line is that we do that, and then we actually must take the passer and then we make a bogie. You remember that? And then we put it there, and then we make an arc there. Put it there and there, and then if you connect those two lines, you've got a 90-degree angle. You remember that? So this is now what happens here. You made the 90-degree angle there, and you made the 90-degree angle there. Now, where your purple and your two colors, what you use now, mine is purple and red, where it met, that's the center of my circle. Now, obviously, this is not correct. You can see it's not correct. But you will have it correct because you are using the passes and the instruments correctly. So do that and check if you actually really end up in the middle of your circle. All right, with 8.4, concentric circles are circles that have the same center point. Let me just move this up a bit so the Afrikaans kids can read theirs. The cirkels wat dieselfde middelpunt het, but not the same radius. Né? Hy het nie dieselfde radius nie. So what you're going to do is you are going to, let's say you're going to mark out 3 centimeters, okay? You're going to mark out 3 centimeters on your passer. You're going to put it down, right? That's the middle of it. You're going to put it down and then you're going to make a circle. Okay, so there's your circle. Then you're going to just move this a little because everybody can see that's really not in the middle. Okay, just pretend that's in the middle there. So then you're going to take your passer, put it on the same circle, on the same point, the same middle point. But your first radius was 3. So now you're going to take like a 5. So now you're going to change your passer to 5. You're going to put it down there. And then you're going to make a new circle. Okay. And obviously it's going to be looking much better than mine, but more or less. Okay. So that is what you do with 8.4. Just give me a concentric circle. Okay, in Afrikaans, a concentrische circle. It means the same middle point, but their radius are different. For example, let me just show you. From here to there, it's going to be 3 centimeters. But from here to the following circle, for example, it's going to be 5 centimeters. Okay, 2 radiusse. Now, the next 2 questions is actually just kind of for fun, more or less. Number 5 and 6. Number 5 says draw 2 external circles that have one intersection. It means the sides need to touch. Now, you're going to have to figure it out. I'm just going to show you what I mean. And obviously, if you do it with a passer, you'll have to be more specific. And it still doesn't actually touch, but okay, there you go. That is what I need for 8.5, but using your passer. So you're going to have to figure it out. With number 6, draw 2 internal circles. Okay, so 2 inwendige circles. So that means it's going to look something like this. Well, that is not going to work. Let me do a correct circle. Okay, and then, right, so if you draw them correctly with your passer, there you go. And that's the type of circle you're going to draw for me at 8.6. So have fun with that.